Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Psychedelic Art Exchange's home on YouTube. We come to you in the midst of our February Collectors Showcase auction, which closes on Sunday, February 23rd. This auction really brings you the cream of the crop with both CGC and raw posters. And today we're going to take a look at a few each, I believe.
Yes, as Katie said, this is our hybrid sale that splits time between some of the best ungraded and graded posters. And this week's highlights include this 1971 Jennison Hall black and white poster from Michigan. And it's a particularly interesting poster on several levels. I encourage you to read the blog that we just put out that explains the whole story about the poster and the details. But I'm more curious about the time of the band and the Grateful Dead and where this strikes. And most interestingly is, this poster was made in the art department at MSU, like the other poster that we've sold. And I don't know where they got the images that they worked off of. I'm sure somebody that, knows the photography could come up with it. But the curious part is that they have TC on this poster, Tom Constantin, who was with the band for a while, but not during these shows. It also shows Mickey Hart and not Billy. Mickey had left the band just a month before in February, and he didn't return until 1975. So it's sort of sort of peculiar.
It's a real weird one. And definitely take a look at the blog. We did a lot of research. We talked a lot about it. The link will be in the description below me. But yeah, that's we've never
it's
seen
super
another
rare.
one of those.
We can't find any instances of this being sold publicly.
No.
And it is a cool image regardless of the lack of historical accuracy. But in that same vein, they also came back to Michigan in December and played the University of Michigan. This is a collector's favorite, Gary Grimshaw poster. This is graded high grade, and it's signed by Gary Grimshaw. It's hard to see in the purple, but this is a cool cartoony piece, and it's later in the year. It's December. This was these two posters. In between these two posters, they recorded and released what has been come to know as Skull and Roses, but the band wanted to call the album Skullfuck, but Warner Brothers wouldn't have any of it. So this is one of the top Grateful Dead posters, and Gary Grimshaw really was a gem. So Dead fans, there's your Michigan Dead 71 posters in this sale.
Wow. I don't even think I realized that those were both there back to back. Pretty cool.
Yes.
Love that.
So anyhow, moving on to Texas.
Oh, yeah.
This is Electric Grandmother number 3, VG3. This is the pre-Vulcan Gas Company posters. There were 2 before this that are, scarce as hen's teeth. I've never seen them sold, but this one is in the Art of Rock, and it's in King's book, I think, and so it made the grade, and it's really an important early poster. This is early Texas before it morphed into the Vulcan, and it's 13th floor elevators, which really sort of define Texas psychedelic sound and then brought it to San Francisco. The sound is distinctive. Katie's a guitar player. Maybe you can give some light onto what that quality is.
I don't know. When I think about it, I just think more about Rocky Erickson's songwriting and how strange and touched he was. And it's very otherworldly and bizarre on a lot of levels. I was just saying before we started filming that I more often end up listening to his solo stuff, which is very weird. But yeah, I feel like they're ultimately responsible for the music city that Austin has become. I was just there a few months ago. I played a show in a bar that was entirely dedicated to the 13th floor elevators. It was very cool. Posters everywhere, neon signs. Loved it.
The whole Texas, the history of Texas music is really full. It's an amazing Yeah, we could do a full hour podcast on Texas, and perhaps
As we should.
Anyhow, this is a real gem. Hardly ever comes up, and it's really an important poster. So take a second look at this, and then in the sale we have several posters from Hawaii, and this Jeff Beck poster, which wants to curl a little bit, I brought out because these posters are tough to get. Some of them are very thin. Some of them are on newsprint. But again, this is Jeff Beck in '75. Accolades to Jeff Beck always here as being, Mount Rushmore of guitar players. But this is a piece that is not going to come up again. So if you're in Beck,
very cool. It's a very good image.
And then back to San Francisco, just because this is one of my favorite Fillmore posters from one of my favorite artists, Greg Irons. And it's for a Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young show that was canceled, but still one of the strongest designs in the whole series.
It's one of those posters that I remember looking at when I was a kid on the wall and just being like, what is that?
Yeah,
along with the other Greg Irons poster with the train.
Yeah,
those two just are burned into my brain.
Procol Harum, I think. Greg was wonderful, and he left us too soon. But this is really, one of his strongest rock posters of all.
Yep.
And just to sort of round out things, we want to bring it back to Iggy Pop. Iggy Pop.
Well, you snuck this one in for me because that's my area of expertise. And it's not just Iggy; it's also the Ramones.
Oh, well, yeah. Really? Okay, yeah. I mean, that's kind of important.
A little bit. Well, I mean, not only that, it's 77, which was the first year that Iggy Pop released albums under his name, not just with the Stooges, they disbanded a few years before, and he recorded 2 albums in Europe with David Bowie. Both came out this year, which was The Idiot and Lust for Life, which I'm sure you all are familiar with and love as much as I do. But this show happened right after the release of Lust for Life, but also right before the Ramones released Rocket to Russia, which I think came out the month after this, or a couple months after this. And that's the one, that's the album had Sheena as a punk rocker, Rockaway Beach, some of the best. And of course they didn't get their due for a long time, but the two of them on a bill together in New York, very cool. That's just a very cool piece.
It's like the passing of the torch in a way. I mean, Iggy's stylings and sensibility connects to New York City and
even though he wasn't a New York guy, but
this, I mean, it's a little bit beat, but I mean,
it's
find another one.
Yeah, as we always challenge you to do, and let us know if you do, because we want to hear all about it. Well,
so yeah, we love punk flyers. If you got any, send them our way.
Yeah, I'm working on getting you all interested in those. Obviously they're not as sexy as the psychedelic posters, but they're very cool. And the fact that they remain is even more impressive to me because I feel like we're even less likely to be collected and taken down and saved, because they're often, I mean, this one maybe, I'm not sure what kind of stock it's printed on, but often they were just Xeroxed on just printer paper.
Yeah, it was an anti-aesthetic from the whole 60s overblown colorful stuff, clearly.
Yeah, which I think sort of evolved a little later on than this, but I mean, that's just the coolest thing. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, our February Collector Showcase auction is closing this upcoming Sunday, February 23rd at 9:00 p.m. Eastern. Links for everything are in the description below me. We are happy to have you here. Give us a like, give us a comment, let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.